Welcome, YouTube friends. Hey, this is Scott, Bigfoot Explorer. How are you guys doing this evening? Hope y'all doing great. We're changing up the format here tonight. We're not going live. This is a pre-recorded video tutorial. We're doing that, and you'll see we're going to premiere this to where we'll be able to watch the video, but have somewhat of a live chat, so to speak, on what's going on. Christy Sci-Fi will be in the chat moderating and help answer questions and things. And I thank her and all moderators who are in there this evening. So what is today's show going to be about? That's right, you saw it in the beginning intro. Global Mapper, GIS only better. Know your elevation while scouting or investigating. That is what we're going to do today. If you guys watched my previous live stream last Wednesday, we dove into Google Earth Pro's tutorial, and we also checked out some Bigfoot encounter data that you can read inside of Google Earth Pro, and we checked that out. If y'all haven't seen that, I will try and put that in the info card somewhere up here. You can go check that out. So again, tonight's video is going to be on really just diving deeper into mapping and geography when it comes to your field investigation, your Bigfoot scouting, your research, whatever you want to call it. Towards the end of the video, I will explain to you how I use this in culmination with everything that I do. And then the very last part of the video, if you stick around, I will showcase what's going to be our next video for next Wednesday. Is going to be a free web-based mapping solution for you guys to use. And basically, even Google Earth Pro is somewhat of a learning curve for most folks. So this free mapping web application that I'm going to introduce towards the end for next week's Wednesday's live video. Basically, if you know how to operate a mouse and type in a web address or search for it, and you have an email and can create a password, you too can be mapping your research areas and at least have some sort of record that you can go to and use. Okay, so let's get started right now. And once again, we touched on, let's go to my screencast to make sure that's working. Transition, my audio is working, because guess what? I just spent an hour recording this first video, and the mute button was toggled on. So I've just done one of these, and I've just done this and realized that the whole thing had no audio, so I'm redoing it again. And I had some great points too, but I'll try to do my best again. Once again, this was Google Earth Pro last week with some of the Bigfoot encounter stuff there, some of the tools that we used, if you guys remember. We're going to be diving into what we call Global Mapper. What is Global Mapper, right? Let's go back real quick. Let's see. Let's go to the home page. Yes. Blue Marble Geographics. What Global Mapper is, and you can see and read it for yourself right here. Global Mapper is an affordable and easy-to-use GIS application that offers access to unparalleled variety of spatial data sets and provides just the right level of functionality to satisfy both the experienced GIS professionals, moi, and beginning users. So basically, in a nutshell, we're diving deeper into the mapping and GIS world. What is GIS? Global Information Systems. So it's Global Information Systems, or GIS, is a software application that uses many different assets, whether it's starting out with a basic server, software, functionality, and data, all put together. Professional geographers, GIS folks. I am what's called a geospatial specialist here for a local land firm in downtown New Orleans. This is what I do for my day job. I've been using Global Mapper and a more sophisticated software than Global Map for close to 20 years now. So this is my forte. You're getting into a little bit more. If you look at the price of Global Mapper, a single user license is $550. But if you're serious about it, I'm going to give you not quite a tutorial, but I'm going to show you maybe an introduction with the emphasis on using elevation data to scout your local research area for Bigfoot. Okay, so let's dive right into Global Mapper. I have it open. I have a project ready. What we're looking at is Kerry Arnold's encounter location up in Collins, Mississippi. This was the first project that I did, and I've had a good 6 to 8 months to perfect and gather all this data. On the left side of the screen, the overlay control center here, this is where you have all your data. This is an a la carte professional type software. And what I say about that is every bit of information or data you see in this control center are individual files and data that are somewhere out on the interwebs where people, GIS, geospatial, geography professionals like myself have access. Some of these sites you need to be joined up with, you need to be in collaboration with to get some of these data sets, and a lot of them are actually free, but you need to know what the jargon, the vocabulary, how it's used in order to even find any of this stuff. It's very convoluted, and like I said, it's taken me 20 years as a geospatial veteran to really hone my skills and know where to find all this data, what it is, what it means, how to load it, what to read from it, what to analyze from it, and this, that, and the other. But as you can see on the screen first here, we have this is called a hill shade or an atlas shader. And basically what this is elevation data from the surface of the earth in the Collins, Mississippi area. And how this is achieved is with what's called a LiDAR aerial sensor camera. LiDAR stands for light detection and ranging. Basically, they fit a smaller prop type plane in the belly of it with a hole in the bottom. Various different mounts. They fit this medium to large format digital LiDAR sensor camera in this. And what this does is while you're flying over in the area, this LiDAR sends a laser, or what's called scan, and it'll scan an area with your flight path. And what it's doing is that camera is rotating and sending lasers down to the surface of the earth, and this is what you call BE, bare earth surface. So these lasers are able to penetrate foliage, primarily trees, shrubs, blah, blah, blah. In urban areas, you have to filter LiDAR data because what's in urban areas that would maybe screw up the bare earth elevation? Housing, buildings, okay? And there are professionals out there who are LiDAR elevation professionals who go in and clean up all the buildings and take the buildings out and extrapolate from where those buildings are, what the surfaces are. But you generally start, the way I try to explain to someone what this is called a DEM, a digital elevation model. that represents the surface of the earth in an area there in Collins, Mississippi. Now, I was able to go and find all this with the jargon and download it. Over here, you see it's a 10-meter DEM. So what that means is every 10 meters, a point was shot on the ground and an elevation was read. So the smaller the distance, the more accurate the elevation is. Okay, so like say if you're doing a 10-acre area, well then you might want to fly that area of LiDAR with maybe like a 1-foot ground resolution for the elevation. But if you're shooting the entire United States, you know, 100 meter, 50 meter, and for states and counties, the primary standard really is 10 meter, 5 meter, 1 meter digital elevation. And of course, the lower you go in distance, the larger the file size gets, because it has to incorporate that much more data within a 5-foot area than a 10-meter area. So the basic way that I can tell you what this digital elevation model is, think of your living room and everything that's in your living room. Your sofa, your lazy boy, your end tables, your coffee tables, your lamps, your vanity, your chest of drawers, place where you keep your china, or your entertainment center, and blah, blah, blah. And you took a wet sheet that was the exact same shape of your living room perimeter and then draped it over everything and then molded and sculpted that wet sheet around every bit of structure that's in there, right? And then it dried. And then you were able to take that sheet off. You now have a model, like a paper mache model. You put it in an empty room with the same perimeter area as your living room and put that sheet down. You have a perfect model of what was in your room. It's a representation. That's basically what this LiDAR digital elevation model, DEM, is doing to the surface of the earth. Okay? Now, these are the data sets that I've had to take the time to go find, nail down the exact locations, find the coordinate systems that all have to match, and put them all together to create this little project of Terrible Creek area in Collins, Mississippi, where Kerry had his encounter. So we have our DEM. Here's our aerials. We're going to go ahead and turn on our aerials. So here's the aerial data of his area. Then we're going to skip over the generated contours just for now. We're going to skip over the ownership parcels, but we're going to start putting in what's called geographic features. Geographic features can have both rural geographic features and urban. A feature is nothing more than something on the ground on the earth. Features for rural can be mountains, hills, trees, lakes, ponds, rivers, creeks, streams. These are all rural geographic features. An example of urban geographic features are residential homes, commercial buildings, skyscrapers, businesses, airports, things of this nature. We all know it. We describe them in the mapping world as being a feature. Okay, so we're going to turn on our urban highway feature. So these are the highways. These are the county roads that I've went and got. And every bit of this is all a la carte. So you have this software. You can't just load this in. I have gone and taken massive areas for the states of Mississippi and chopped them and clipped them down to this small project. Okay, so we got the county roads in white there with the names. We got their perennial streams, so we can see where the streams are, and then we have our intermittent streams or drainages or overflow areas. Okay, so perennial bigger streams are in blue. Even this perennial stream here, the Terrible Creek area, is more like a drainage. And then we have the site location. Now, I kind of messed up with the site location. Carrie and I, for a long time, were confused about where the site location was, but I've got it right now. Okay, but when I originally did this site location, I did a 500-yard radius around the site location, which we thought the site location was here. So that's where I did the radius from. So just know that the real site location was here. Y'all know his story, right? So when he talks about he was sitting down hunting turkeys on this clearing here at the top, and the creature walked from left to right and walked up. This is the path of what the creature kind of did. Walked up, it showed itself here. This is where it was holding on to the tree across here. So this was the face-to-face sighting that they were having for each other here. And if we measure this, so it's something like, I don't know, something like, if you look down in the bottom left, everything's in meters. Let's do this. Let's get rid of this. Let's go into the control. No, this. In general, we're going to want this. Let's put it in yards. Hit OK. So I've just set the measuring from meters to yards. So something like 34 yards. This is 40. This is 60. So, you know, that's a close encounter right across there. Okay. So anyway, when you look at these radiuses, just know that they were originally intended to be the center of the radius right here with the site location. And then I had a 1 mile radius as well that goes out further. And what I was able to do with all this data is, you know, the first thing that Carrie and I did was I took the 1 mile and we wanted to look. This area in here is so wild, right, and vast, that what's to the left? We have urban features, chicken coops, chicken processing plants. There's one right there to the west, within a mile. There's two down here in the south, right? And then there's one just past, probably like a mile and a half. These creatures have not only the game creatures that live in the southern woods of Mississippi, but they've got food here that they can go get. We've actually talked to a crew with Bo McGee, who's we're actually going to have Bo on soon, and he's going to tell you a little bit about what happened at the chicken coops down here, which is very interesting, and that's what made me do this radius and look at all these coops around here. Okay, so that's that. So where does the elevation data really start to chime in? Well, it's just another tool in the mapper's realm to use for investigative purposes. So, you know, if we come here and we zoom in just with a standard 2D over looking straight down, you know, it's very difficult to see where the ridges, where the hollers are, where the elevation, or where the relief is. Relief means anything with and of altitude. Okay? So, but what will all that tell us? Well, we know that game species such as wild turkey, they love, whether it's on a windy day or a hot day, they love to go and hang out in the bottoms, in the hardwoods. Well, why? Well, it's low, it's safe. There's ridges on each side that they can see things come when it comes to predators. And they're also hidden away. They're hidden away and they use those spots. So game species use varying land features to their advantage. Even deer. We know this. Deer hunters know this. I would suspect that Sasquatch would also use the terrain to their advantage in any way possible. And knowing where these elevations are is a big part of it. So although we cannot see where the hills and the elevation is with the aerial, if we turn the aerials off, you will begin to see the shape of that surface. This is very high, and that's why it's shaded. Okay, if we turn on our shader here, we come here, we have an elevation shader in feet. I'm going to now put this on. If we look right here, the colors that correspond to the elevation DEM, the digital elevation model, the wet sheet, so to speak, over our land, you can see that the higher reds are 500, and then your lower going all the way down to blue is lower. So what does that tell you automatically already, even with just the roads on and the radius and the site location? Look where the site location was. Completely up on top in the yellowing area, anywhere from 400 to 425 feet. Okay? Look at what we have here. A lower area in green down from 350 to 375. So this is going down. So Kerry's story checks out literally, as he says, this creature came from the bottom and walked up the side the ridge. Okay? That is exactly what this is. He walked up and had to appear. If you see my hand, my little hand here, this is what the creature did. And it's exactly the true story that he told. This makes sense to me. So this is a varying degree of validation too for anyone who describes land features in their encounter or sighting story. So with that said, the next step that we can do is really cool, right? Here's where the fun starts. Go ahead and put this back over here. Global Mapper has a smart elevation tool that'll give us somewhat a 3D shot of this. So we're going to turn out our aerials on, which are overlaid on top of the digital elevation model. Watch this fun. Wow, check that out. Now, it doesn't look like much because why? Well, in South Mississippi, the relief or the elevation is not the greatest out here. If we were in Colorado, you'd see it would look like mountainous area, right? Or even up in Kentucky or Tennessee or in the Smokies or something like that. So what we're going to do to be able to see a little bit better is we're going to exaggerate. We're going to exaggerate the elevation just for a visual purpose. So we're going to come up here and it says emphasize height. Boom. We're going to hit that. We're going to hit it once more. Okay. And what that's done now is it's exaggerated somewhat. Watch when we angle like this and we hit it again. Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. Let's get it recentered back where we want it. And we're going to do it again. We're going to do it again. So here's the road that he talks about, right? McLaren Road. And we are gonna move forward here on McLaren Road. Actually, let's move this way. And we're gonna hit this little walk mode. It's not where I want it though. But this is a walk mode that you can use. The learning curve is steep with all this, so just hang in there. At any time, hit the home button, and you can kind of start to get back. Let's get our bearing. There we are. So let's go ahead and get to his area. So here's the trail in. You see the trail here? Look how it's up here, then it goes down, and it comes back up. This is the area in here that he says that he literally was like spooked out, right? We're now able to see his site location, how it's up. See how it's up there? It's up here, and again, here's the trees, and here's that bottom, and here's the creek. The creature came from this area, walked up. It's really incredible. I love looking at this elevation data, and you can turn it any which way you want, and you can get, now if the elevation's a little too high, let's go ahead and bring it back down. I'm bringing it down. I'm bringing it down, 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 down. Okay, so where it starts looking a little somewhat normal again, but still has some relief. So he sees the creature here. He's got to walk down, up, down, up, down, up, come all the way. And here's Caraway Lane, where the guy's house was, where he got into his truck, right? So this tells us a lot here. This tells us a lot when we're doing our scouting. It tells us a lot about Carrie's story, how it checks out and validates, and gives us a really good view of what we can expect when we go out there and hike. How exhausting will it might be to traverse and scout all this area and know where the valleys are, where the ridges are, where the hollows are, where things go up and down. So when you get out there, you've got that much more knowledge when you're going to scout an area. And that's basically it. That is the 3D nutshell of the elevation use. Now, of course, not everybody is going to be able to have something like this at their disposal, but having this type of professional software, you can get serious about doing your investigative work. Companies are built with software like this. I mean, I'm doing it now in the oil and gas industry, but I'm putting these tools to work for me with something that I'm passionate about, and that is the existence of Sasquatch in the southern United States. It baffles my mind. I'm so intrigued. I naturally am going to take the things that I have skills with and apply that to that, and that is hunting, forestry degree, mapping professional, cameras, video camera, media guy, all that stuff I'm going to put into the investigation. Now, I don't like the term researcher in a way, because it implies to me that that's someone who is doing work more often than what I'm able to actually do. I have a life, I have a job, I have kids, so I say I'm more of a Sasquatch Bigfoot investigator. But this would be great. This is a GIS tool where you can come in and start putting learn an area first. This will help with your woodsmanship, learning the area, what's there, your elevations, your natural features that are in the area, what types of trees you have here. You know, is this all pine? Is this hardwoods? What's going on here? where the trails are, where you can enter in and out, how exhausting is it going to be with the uphill, downhill type deal, right? All of these things you can gain uh, knowledge upon before you even set foot there, and that's what I love to do. I'm going to be doing this same type of mapping project for my Wade Capital, for Sci-Fi and I's Wade Capital research area in Southwest Mississippi, and I'm hoping to take y'all on show y'all the exact same thing I did here, but do it with our encounter area. This stuff takes time. I've got to do this off hours when I'm not working. So that is the elevation tutorial there, the benefits of having elevation and contour. Oh, that's the other thing that I wanted to say. So with this elevation, this digital elevation model that you see here, once I have that, I'm able to use a software feature, right, that will literally let me create the contour lines that you see on a topo map. So I've ran that process and I have generated the contours. So watch this when I click this on. You can't see much yet because of the color, and you'll see why. But notice how these contour lines perfectly match the elevation data underneath it. So we're seeing 440 feet here. If we go over to Kerry's spot, his encounter site, wait, where's his encounter site location? There it is there. Look at this ridge here. Look at the contours. We can see this is 430. This is about 430 feet up. Then as it starts going down, look, 390 feet is this line here. So that matches. And then when we turn on the aerials, watch how nice it is. Boom, you can really see things now at the site location. If you did not have the digital elevation model that's underneath it, you can use the contour lines. That's the next best, greatest thing, is to use your contour lines. So that is pretty cool. So that is what I wanted to show y'all. I think y'all can see the benefits of something like this. It's very interesting. It's actually, I get a hoot out of this. I enjoy it. I also have the ownership parcels here too. If you notice, I've got the land parcel data. So this parcel right here is owned by James McGee. So, you know, that is very helpful to see who owns land. Here's Plum Creek. This is a hunting club over there. So I'm slick that way, you know, having this type of data that we can use to gain access. Maybe you need to contact an owner. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you right now and I hope you guys like that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to transition and tell you, you know, over the course of several months that I've done these mapping type things, it's been one thing at a time. You know, it started out with using Google Maps and stuff, and then we went to the Onyx Maps, and then we did something else, Google Earth, but how do I, it's what I call invade an area that I want to scout, that I want to research. I call it an invasion because I have to know everything about it before I go out there. That's the way I was when I hunted wild turkey, and it's the way I'm going to approach Sasquatch investigation. And the way I do that is, if we come over to, bam, it all starts with Google Maps. Everybody has it. We can all use it. Okay, let's say I have made the Bigfoot reports encounters for the entire United States. That is free. If you go to Bigfoot Explorer with an X, BigfootExplorer.com, and go to my media page, you can download all these encounters for use in Google Earth Pro. Watch that video. It's a tutorial on how to do it. So I'll come to like an area that I know that's got some sightings, or let's say I get someone who calls me and says, I've got an area. I'd like you to come out here. I live around this area, blah, blah, blah. Of course, I don't want to give anything away, but there is a person that I'm working with right now in North Louisiana, about 4 to 5 hours away. Right here, they're having problems. They've been having problems for almost 10 years with Sasquatch killing their chickens, killing their dogs, killing their cats, stealing things, throwing things out of their shed, banging on the doors. They've recently got bars on all their windows because she's terrified. Okay? So this is a hot spot. But look at what Google Earth gives you. It gives you the basic feature set. Roads, creeks, lakes, things of that nature. They'll show the national forest. This is the Kashashi National Forest is huge. So, but I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, so that's where she lives. So it's close to the Kashashi National Forest. I work with her. And then I come into Onyx Maps, which is a paid service. You can get Onyx Maps. It's $25 for one state or $100 for the entire U.S. I go over this in greater detail in a prior video. I will have that up at the top of the screen if you'd like to look at that at a later time, right? So I go into this area and I see, yeah, look, here's her house. This is how I'm scouting and I'm using these tools. Here's her house. But look how close the forest is, the national forest. Kashashi. This outline in white boundary and the lighter shade green over it is the Kashashi National Forest. And I've done some mileages. Why did I do the mileages from her house to the National Forest? Well, National Forest is public. I can begin to just show up and park, find an area, and go in and start doing my research with no problems, no trespassing, no issues, right? So we can see from her house to something right here, and that's what I did with Google Maps. I had located her home, and then here's her home, and then with Onyx Maps, I used where's the forest, and I found this road up here, right? And I found like a church, Evergreen Church, okay? So this is a place where I can start. It's really close to her home, okay? And here's that same church. Boom. Then I go into Street View and say, what does this area look like? Well, if we back out a little bit and we come to there and I take the little Street View guy and boom, I'm going to drop it here. I can begin now. Most of us don't have this luxury, but in very dense rural area, sometimes Street View is not available. But you can test it. So I see, look, man, there's all kind of places to park here. Here's the church right here. I can park around this little park. If I come to Onyx Maps, now I see right here in the National Forest, there's a trail here called 5468A, and I can walk that trail, which is behind the church. If I go to the church, here's the church. Well, somewhere behind here, there's a trail back there. Go back to Onyx Maps. There's a trail that I can follow, And if you zoom in, you can kind of see the basics of the trail starting behind the cemetery, following the trail, and then eventually that trail starts to turn right up here. And you kind of start seeing it, and it goes back to this area that looks like a swamp or like an oxbow area with a bunch of trees. Probably got a lot of, that's going to tell me this area is going to have cypress trees. It's going to have black gum trees, swamp black gum. It's a good area to start doing some research. And then I also see across the street from the church is another trail. If we zoom out, there's the trail. And you can somewhat see it. Boom. And that's closer to her home. So I did, that line is 0.85 miles away. And I can, for free, being on a public used area in the National Forest, I can begin to come do some scouting up here. Okay, and that's using what? Basic Google Earth, street view of the area on the ground, OnX maps that not only gives me the boundaries of the National Forest, it also, if I turn on the layer, and this is what you're paying for, is look at the ownership parcels around you. It literally gives you information about who owns what. I can see that south of that church, wait, let me get it. It's this Rainier, Louisiana Timbers Company. If I click inside that, here it is. Here's the owner, Rainier, Louisiana Timber, secondary owner. Of course, they own the whole thing. The tax city, blah, 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 the acreage that they hold. If I come to this guy's place and I click inside of it, it's the Young Estate, LLC, the tax city state zip. So this might be where the guy lives. He lives in Camp High, Louisiana. It's 90 acres. Okay. So all that will help me too, because this is owned by a timber company who is in the business of selling, processing timber, right? Well, I'm seeing a bunch of open areas, food plots. So that, what does that tell me? Hunting clubs in this area. Maybe I can contact Rainier, find the local hunting clubs, contact them, and ask them in the off season, you know, during the summer, can I come scout behind this home and have permission to go on that land and do some scouting? So these are the tools. And then also when you introduce the Google Earth Pro tool of having all the encounters in that area, I can now go search all these encounters and see if any encounters happened in the area where I am concentrating. Okay, and then I take it one step further. I get like dead serious. Let's say I am finding structures, footprints, howls, knocks. Well, then I do something like this now. I create a personalized a la carte mapping scenario for my area, and I am going to use this as my brainchild for all of my work. I've got elevation data, I've got the roads, I've got the creeks, I've got this, I've got that, I've got site locations. Now, basically, when I go out there and I find evidence, I'm going to start putting points all over this map of where I find stuff and dates. That point will be like, say there's a point here, I went back in here and found all kind of X's and like a little pond. Well, I'm going to come put that. I may take my GPS because, why? If you come to OnX Maps, OnX has their own app and GPS that I can bring out in the woods, and I can literally map it right there in the woods. I can export that to a GPX or a KMZ and then import it into this global mapper software package, and boom, I've got not only where I'm finding my evidence, I've got all my features around me. This becomes a valid certified document, certified map, something that grows with you as your research in a particular area grows. as you begin to dissect it, as you begin to invade it and break it down to try and further your investigation. So that's it in the nutshell, guys. I'm really thankful that if you're still here, that you stayed with me on this little project with the elevation stuff going. I'm going to go ahead and save this, and we'll get out of Global Mapper. We'll go ahead and come back to the webcam. And that is it. Isn't that cool? That is so cool. I think it's cool. I think it's something if you can't afford Global Mapper because it's $450, that's fine. Start with what? The tools we know that are free. Google Maps, Street View, Google Earth Pro is free. And like I said, next Wednesday, we will be having a free web-based mapping program that is very easy for anyone to learn. If Google Earth Pro is a little bit too intimidating or the learning curve there is a bit high for you, we will be going over this little gem. I'll give you a tease of it, but that will be the subject of Wine Wednesday next week. And here it is for you right now. It is right here. It is called Map Hub. That's right. We will explore the free version of web mapping with Map Hub next Wine Wednesday. Okay, guys, that is what we're going to do. So, thanks all my moderators for being in here. I also wanted to thank Alan Yank Lunas. He had helped us with last Wednesday's live stream with getting a lot of people on some of the Facebook groups. Littlefoot, Bigfoot group. He contacted a bunch of folks there to come join that live stream last Wednesday. I forgot to tell him thank you. I appreciate it, brother. And anyone else who spreads the word, I thank you. So for Bigfoot Explorer, who is Scott and Christy Sci-Fi, thank you so much. If you have any comments or questions about the mapping, leave them in the comments there below, or head on over to bigfootexplorer.com to the Contact Us section where you can email me or send in a Contact Us form. If you're really serious about wanting to get and do similar things that you've seen me done here for your research area, I can help you with. I can consult on any type of varying degree that you want to go to map this stuff out. I can help you, lead you in the right direction. Would be glad to do that. So once again, thanks. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And for Bigfoot Explorer, I am Scott, and Christy Sci-Fi is moderating in there today. Thanks to all our moderators who are in there helping out, keeping it clean. Remember, guys, stay safe, stay good, huh? Leave that hatred at the... Just leave it go. This world needs more good people, good friends, good souls, compassion. We're never going to get anything done if we don't find that. Stop tearing each other down. That's the tip there of the week. Thanks again. We appreciate it. And goodbye, folks.